I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve the agenda for the business meeting of March 10th, 2025.
Eric and Kelly.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And now we have an accolade for the Science Olympiad team with Mr. Hutchins.
Before Mr. Hutchins comes, I would just like to say a quick recognition and thank you to Mr. Hutchins for overseeing the Science Olympiad program. It's a great undertaking, and we really appreciate you continuing to do this year after year. So thank you for that. Again, thank you for the family members and our high school students who have come back and help coach the teams. It's awesome, and I think high school students, it's great that you're giving back as you went through this, so thank you. And then students, thank you for just your curiosity in taking on the challenge of the Science Olympiad. It's great to see how well you're representing, so thank you, and here's instructions.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Hello there. So, we're here again to acknowledge the middle school science Olympiad team. Back on Saturday, February 8th, they competed in a regional tournament, and I'm going to do my usual blurb about what Science Olympiad is. It's like a science and engineering track event. If you've ever gone to a track event and you don't know where to look or where to go because there's multiple things going on at once, and it's sort of like that, except you're not even allowed to look at most of them. So what it is there's 23 different events. Some of the events are testing events where they learn about something and they take a test on it. Some of them are lab events where they learn how to do certain things and then they compete on that. And some of them are build events where they have to build something with certain specifications ahead of time, like a helicopter or a vehicle that moves forward with an egg on the front of it and it has to not crush the egg on the barrier. And so they're competing against other schools in the area, and we did well and got many awards in the things that we competed in. And what I want to do now is run through that and talk, so I'm not ready for that to advance yet, but talk about the events we participated in and recognize the coaches and players. So as I say your name, some of you are in multiple events, of course, but the first time you hear your name, if you can come up to the front here, and if you're a coach that's here, please come up with your team. So we had a high schooler, Alana McDonald-Katz, Coach Lucas Cruz, and Caden Henson, Crime Busters. So if you guys, I see Caden's here, so come on up, don't be shy. We had Brady Rogers coach Brady Carroll in helicopter. In 8th place, totally on their own, no coaching needed, we had Brady Carroll and Steven Snyder for duct tape challenge. Just stand someplace where everyone can stare at you and make you uncomfortable. For 5th place, we had Micro Mission, coached by Isabella Kazanjian, and that was with Liam, I never say their last names, Elsasser and Jake Solis. For Mission Possible, we had coached by Kyle Powell, who was both on a team and coached the team this year, and on the team that he coached was Nessa Kellner and CJ Powell. I also brave person to sign up to coach his younger brother. I think that should be acknowledged. Or maybe CJ was brave to sign up to be coached by his older brother. I'm not sure who's braver. Fourth place, coached by Anthony Zhang, a high school senior, was Code Busters with Caden Hens and Lucas Litz. Experimental design that I coached got fourth place with Ben Bouquet, Lucas Cruz, and Lucas Litz. Optics, which was coached by Michelle Litz, had Ben Bouquet and Lucas Litz on the team. Fourth place, which we're going to pretend I coached, but they really did themselves because they've done this for multiple years now. For Write It, Do It, was Nessa and Kyle. By Jill Snyder was Fossils with Brady Carroll and Jake Solis. Rounding out the Olympiad power couple, for Scrambler, we had Coach Scott Snyder with Brady and Steven Snyder, and they got second place for that, Scrambler. And first place, without any coaching, was Duct Tape Challenge with Nessa and CJ. I want to thank all the coaches and families and participants, and in particular now I would like to recognize Anthony Zhang. So if we can advance the slide. So Anthony Zhang has been with Olympiad since the first year I did it when he was in 6th grade, so that's 7 years now. Could we advance again? There he is in 6th grade. All right, so in 6th grade in 2019, he did 2 events, Circuit Lab and Game On, 4th and 7th place, and it will take too long if we clap for everyone, so I'll just run through them. 2020 in 7th grade, he took 2nd place in Circuit Lab and 1st place in Game On. 2021 in 8th grade, he did 3 events, because 2 was too few for him. He did Circuit Lab for 3rd place, Disease Detectives for 3rd place, and Water Quality for 4th place. 2022, in 9th grade, he was 2nd place for Code Busters and 2nd place for Disease Detectives. Then he came back as a coach in 2023 for 10th grade. He coached Bridge. In 2024, he coached Code Busters, and this last year, he again coached Code Busters. And I need to say, not only is he taking the time to meet with all of them, but the amount of time he spends prepping for these meetings, he is a far better coach than I have been for any event. So I really want to thank Anthony for 7 years, and I want to present him because he doesn't order these anymore, but this is where you take all the college with you, so you don't forget. Thank you all very much.
Judge,
Yes.
get the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit,
Yeah, you get to pretend that you like each other even if you don't. These together. Sure. Are you in more?
1, 2, 3. I'll take one more. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Now we're going to leave for our pizza parties.
Well, before you leave, Mr. Hodgins, I do want to just say thank you again for, this is one of my favorite times of year to be able to see the middle school come out and be a part of this. Amazing job that you do and great job with these kids. And Anthony, if I could just for a moment just thank you for your years of commitment to this group and helping to excel. You guys all represent Greenville so well, and we're just so proud of everything that you guys do. So thank you very much for everything. Thank you. Enjoy the pizza.
Thank you. We do.
Now, we're on for the Greenville Central School District, Commissioner. facilitate public access to meetings or report application and provide an opportunity for public comment at these meetings. Accordingly, the open forum provides an opportunity for members of the public to share thoughts about topics on the agenda. An individual's comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. Additionally, comments may be emailed to the district clerk, Daphne Pearson, using the email pearsonp@greenvillecsd.org. In order for an email to be read during the meeting, it must be received by 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting and state that the email is to be read aloud. Emails shall be limited to 600 words. Please note this is not the time to register complaints that need to be addressed confidentially through the proper channels. Remarks that might be considered defamatory, obscene, profane, stigmatizing, or otherwise impermissible in public forums are prohibited and will be declared out of order. Board members actively listen during open forum but may not immediately respond to comments. Does anyone wish to speak? Any emails? No. Okay. Then next up would be student body update by Tatum Landman.
Okay, so this isn't much of an update, but I did want to bring it up again to you guys. So I created the student team for the Relay for Life today. So I just wanted to bring it up to you guys again because we're trying to get more people, whether they're adults or children, to sign up. So if you want to sign up, just email Ms. Fricky, and if you know any children, especially children, please tell them to email me or Ms. Fricky to sign up. We already raised $3,800, which is a lot since it hasn't even happened yet. So so far it's a success, but if you guys could just promote it and kind of tell everyone about it, that would mean a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for Tatum?
Could you just, for our benefit and anyone who may be watching, explain what it does? What do you do for the Relay for Life?
Okay, so it is our first year doing it, so I've never personally organized anything like this, so I don't know everything for sure. But to my understanding, it's organized by the American Cancer Society, and basically we're going to have an event on May 17th down at the track, and it's going to be a lot of fundraising things, people are going to be selling things for fundraising, and it's just basically a relay race and just a fundraising event. All of it goes to cancer research, all the money and everything, so it's basically just an opportunity for Greenville to do something that benefits people that had cancer or have cancer and cancer research. So.
That's great, thanks. Sorry, just quickly. First of all, great job. $3,800 is a lot of money, even if you're at the end, I think. So if we want to donate, how do we do that? Do we have to show up at the track, or
you don't have to. There is a way that you can through the website. I'll have to talk to Ms. Fricky about it. I think there's you can sign into the American Cancer Society, they go to the Relay for Life area, and then there's a specific way that you can donate to this one. I'm not sure exactly how, but I'll get back to everyone next meeting or something about it.
Okay, well, it sounds like there's a link that we could use. And if that's true, since it's part of her update, could it be added to the meeting materials, to the public part of the board docs? Thank you.
May 17th. Same day as prom.
Okay, next would be our athletic update with Denise Wickham.
Hi, everyone. So, winter sports, exciting. So I'll start off with boys volleyball, coached by Lynn Hughes. It was a rebuilding year for the Spartans this year. They improved greatly throughout the season, and Anthony Zhang actually played for the first time this year and did a fabulous job. They lost in the first round of sectionals, and they were a scholar athlete team, and we didn't have any all-conference selections this year. Cheerleading, coached by Erica Hamilton, attended 3 competitions this year. They were thinking about going to sectionals, and then decided not to, and they're a scholar athlete team. Wrestling with Pat Cullen, Connor Aloisi was second team all-conference, and we were able to host the section classes here at Greenville, which was wonderful for our school district. Girls basketball was coached by Robert Shields. He is a nice addition to the girls basketball program. They were Scholar Athlete Team. Bryn Fitzmaurice was first team all-conference. Charlotte Dawson was second team all-conference. And Bryn actually earned 1,567 career points, which put her on the leaderboard for that, which I'm really proud of her. She broke her sister Ava's record of 1527. So yeah, that was a really good accomplishment for Bryn. The girls lost in the first round of sectionals this year. And then I'll end with boys basketball, coached by Dane Carpenter, Travis Smigel, and Ty Russell. They did an amazing job this year working together. Looking forward to what's going to happen with our boys basketball program. They were a Scholar Athlete Team. Jack Giaroso entered the 1,000-point club, earning a career total of 1,106 points. And he has the record for 80 made three-pointers in one season. That was this year. As a senior, that's awesome. And he has a record for 153 career three-pointers. So, good things happening there. Foster Britton and Jack Giarusso were first team all-conference. And they made it to the sectional finals this past weekend. And then a heartbreaker, lost by 3. But they played really well and represented Greenville extraordinarily well throughout the whole entire tournament. Jack Giaroso and Jacob Roth were named Section 2 Class B tournament all tournament team from the tournament. I will say Jacob Roth had the game of his life. It was awesome to watch. And also Foster Britton played extraordinarily well. They did a good job defensively against Jack, but he did a great job as well. And Dane Carpenter was named Coach of the Year. So, I did mention Scholar Athletes, boys volleyball. These were the kiddos that were 90 or above in their average during the season. Canyon Baraka Kolmaki, Sebastian Bryant, Jack Dawson, Brennan Hawkins, Nathan Jurgens, Akeka Martin, Caleb Flogging, Evan Snyder, and Anthony Zane. Cheerleading section for Scholar Athlete Team, Nicole Chase, Riverland Clifford, Scarlett Coombs, Rihanna Costello, Jasmine Ellis, Lola Frame, Layla Overbaugh. Girls basketball, pretty much the whole team. Daniela Arberg, Caitlin Albano, Samantha Capazzi, Casey Capazzi, Charlotte Dawson, Bryn Fitzmaurice, Cadence Gallagher, and Ariana Good. And then our boys basketball team, Jonas Britton, Foster Britton, Jack Giarusso, Chris Hughes, Sean Kenna, Lucas Russell, and John Crow. Our kids get it done in the classroom, and they also get it done on the courts. So I'm really proud of them all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now Mike with the capital project update.
Yes, just a couple of updates. We met last week with both the architect, SEI, and Schoolhouse, along with our team, just to kind of discuss where we're at in our project. Bunkhoff, who is our general contractor, was able to give us a schedule after reviewing everything the last couple of weeks and what needs to get done. That has them wrapping up at the end of August with our capital project, so we're excited about that. A couple of things that we wanted to meet with them on was where we're at with contingency budget and with changes that any changes that need to take place in starting at the elementary school in the spring as we get into the work there. So we are getting closer to realizing where we're at. Hopefully by the end of this month, beginning of April, we'll have a good idea from a contingency standpoint what our budget looks like. And at that point, we'll be able to take a look at alternates that were bid as part of the job but not necessarily selected. So we're hoping to have a substantial amount of money for us to be able to do one or two of those alternate bids. So we're in a good space. We got gym equipment coming in this week, and by the end of next week, we should have most of the equipment in up at the elementary school gym. So we're excited about that, including a hoist coming in for wrestling mats. That'll be part of that equipment as well. So we're excited, moving along nicely, and with the nicer weather that we're getting, we're hoping we can progress quickly through some of these things. So that's it. Any questions?
Just one, Mike, is there an opportunity for any of us to go into the spaces on the spaces that are finished?
Yeah, that's a good idea. We can certainly set something up like that. We can work with Luke with Schoolhouse. Todd and I will try to get some dates or some times together. We can put it out there to board members, obviously, most likely later in the day. That works for some of you folks who are working, or others who've got time during the day. We can try to make that available. Yeah, that's a great idea. Oh, yes. Also, we got a conference day this coming Friday, so that may be something that you may want to be able to come down and get through some of those spaces as well. So we'll put something out to the board and have people sign up.
Okay, and then we have a budget update with Mike Bennett and Todd Hildendorf.
Good evening, everybody. So I just have a couple of slides to update where we are and the changes from last week when we sat here and looked at the preliminary budget, to where we are a week later, March 10th. So this first slide highlights the significant changes that happened between last week and this week. So I'll speak to each of these. If you have questions, by all means ask. On the left-hand side, changes in revenue. So this means additional money on the revenue side. From some of the conversation that happened last week and questions about our current fund balance, which is year-end funds that would be within this current year's budget that would be pulled into next year's budget. I re-looked at that and had some conversations with Mr. Bennett and feel comfortable recommending that we actually pull in an additional $58,000 in current year funds from fund balance into next year's budget, with a very specific distinction that money is being pulled into next year for a one-time funds for the purchase of our bus lift. So if you remember when Mary presented her transportation budget, a very specific request that she had, it's very much a need, is to replace our current lift in the bus garage. That's a significant cost of approximately $58,000. It is a one-time thing, right? This won't be a reoccurring cost. Transportation's equipment line is usually very low. I think it was $4,000 this current year and going up to $58,000 next year. So with that in mind, it's a very specific reason for pulling additional fund balance into next year to cover the cost of that lift. So that was a positive in the revenue side. And then on the expenditure side, it's negatives or cutting things out of the budget. The first one was very good. Last week we had our fuel bids come in. We do the fuel bid through BOCES. DCMO BOCES coordinates that process for us. The rates that we received through the bid were lower than our current year's numbers, which also meant that what I had budgeted and projected for next year, I was able to pull that number down and feel comfortable decreasing that by $60,000. Again, that's the result of those fuel bids and the rates coming in at a lower rate than what we expected. And then the second item is a review and updating of Medicare and Social Security. So for the rollover budget, we work in my office to project what all the salaries will be within next school year. So at this point in the budget process, I revisit that, make updates and adjustments based on any hiring that has happened between the rollover and now, and also just refigure that, recalculate it to see where we're at, and in this area feel comfortable decreasing that at this time by $50,348. So taking those amounts off and adding on that revenue piece brings us to where we currently stand. Revenue budget at $37,572,427. Appropriation or the expenditure budget at higher, or slightly higher, $37,623,441, which is a difference of $51,014. So from last week to this week, roughly $150,000 going in the correct direction. And then the last slide, just looking at this from the tax cap and the tax levy. As we previously shared, the tax cap, which is the highest amount we can go out for the tax levy and have a simple majority, is at 1.83. This shows what the tax levy would be at $18,983,000. And again, that same deficit number of $51,000 is what we still have to make up. What is still remaining? So two things that are important to share are, one, still working with principals to look at some current year funds that we can use to purchase some textbook needs in next year. And also looking at some supply requests where there were increased requests for supplies in next year, looking to use some funds this current year to purchase some of those items in advance and taking that out of next year's budget. That won't be huge dollar figures, but there's some money there that we're working through. And then the other one is health insurance rates. So currently in the budget, we have projected 17% increase. The preliminary rate that we received from the RCG Trust was 16%. The final rates don't come out until later in March. So about 2 weeks from now, we will have that final rate. So hopefully, it'd be great if it went even lower than the 16%. But because we're projecting it at the 17%, if it comes in at that 16, we'll have some savings there. So hopefully within those two areas and continuing to go through, and as we get some other updated numbers from BOCES, looking to close that gap of 51,000 obviously down to zero by the time we are here on April 7th when the board will adopt the budget. Any questions?
Anybody has questions? Oh, I was shocked.
I think it should be changed to any, not board questions, but these questions. Todd, on your, I'm still working through this, the additional funds on the capital project interest. So the change, as far as I can concern, or come up with, it is an additional 816. Is that where we're at now?
It's around that. I mean, that's a find the right spot.
The exact number is not really the part of my question.
Okay.
And then my understanding is we're gonna recoup the majority of that money from additional building aid, correct?
Correct.
So that would be for 25, 26. So when you calculate the rollover for 26, 27, will that be part of that rollover, or will that be, is the 816 going to be one time payment because of timing, or is it going to be part of the rollover and going to continue to be part of the budget moving forward?
So the building aid for the current project that's finishing up this year, that building aid comes over multiple years. So it's not, next year is the first year we're getting that increase to that level of 800-ish thousand. That number will continue for a number of years. The exact number I can look and find and tell you, but it's not just a one-year thing. That number is then, this is all in the design of the capital project and looking long-term with our building aid coming in and our debt service that we're paying out, trying to keep that, that very flat line in terms of what we're paying and in terms of what we're getting in building aid.
So correct me if I'm wrong, and I probably am, but if we're adding for additional 816 to go into this 25, 26 budget, right? Then we're going to recoup that money through additional building aid. Isn't that end up being two sources of income? We're getting money from the taxpayers and from the state, and then we're going to get building aid. Or am I thinking this wrong?
I don't understand your question. The building aid is specifically coming from the state.
Right.
Okay. What's the second part?
Well, we're increasing the budget basically by that line by the 816,
Yes.
and then we're going to recoup that much on additional building aid.
Correct. So that amount that we're getting in, so maybe this will answer your question. That amount we're getting in building aid, even though we're adding that amount to the general fund, and we have to have that in the general fund budget so we can pay it out, because we're receiving that from building aid, it's that amount less that we're going to be asking taxpayers to pay.
That's what I'm gonna, that's.
Right, we're not collecting it from taxpayers, paying it, and then getting building aid. No.
Okay.
The whole revenue side balances out the expenditure side. That revenue side includes that building aid, so that we're not collecting that from taxpayers. We're supporting it through the use of building aid. And again, that all goes back to the original design of this project, making sure that when the debt that we're gonna have to pay increases to what it is next year, we're also getting that building aid so it offsets itself. So back in the design of the project, when it was advertised and said 0% impact on the tax levy, meaning we're not increasing the tax levy to be able to pay that debt service, we're getting the building aid to offset it.
So, going off of this question, what happens to that line item with the following budget? Will we see that go back to zero, or is this now going to be paying debt every year?
So it is paying off, it's paying debt until, until 2040. So it's a 15-year ban. So that budget line, it fluctuates over time because of the principal and interest payment, but that will be in the debt service line until that debt is paid off. At the same time, that building aid amount is spread out over that same time period so that they're continually evening each other out. Good question.
I have a question. I had a call upon last week because I noticed something not in the budget, and I'm just going to put it out because it's appropriate for it to be public knowledge. I asked, I did not see the play trap team, and it's a club group that we support a lot of other ones, and so I asked if there was any reason why it wasn't in the budget, and I'm just wondering if you have an answer.
So what I shared with Kelly is any requests for clubs come through the buildings and building principals through the process of requests. So to date, that has not come through as a request. So currently, it is not in the budget.
And so my response to that at the time, and still going forward, and Mr. Bennett, I think it needs to be discussed. Whether it is for this year or for next year, it is a small amount, and it is a group of kids that we do not pay anything to. They've been fundraising themselves for 2 years. So I would like to see us address that at some point.
I will say, just so people know also, that the Rensselaer Rod and Gun Club that helps support them, they are fundraising as well, and we just approved that they're doing dinners and fundraising at the American Legion. So all this fundraising is happening to support the children. So I agree, we need to look out for them where we can.
Okay, everybody good with questions? Let's move on to,
Wait, pause. So the question that we have to talk about is the 1.83. Because now is the time we have to have that information so that we can have something fully put together for April 7th. Sorry to interrupt, Angela, but just before we move off this point, right now everything is being worked off of that 1.83. So I know there was a little conversation last week, but just from the board's perspective, need more of the official, yes.
okay, so Jim, you want to start?
I guess the numbers we have in right now, so the 1.83, we have, a firmer grip on. At the 1.83 below the tax levy, I would approve going forward.
Agree, I don't think we should go above the tax cap, and if I'm following correctly, so I couldn't be here last week. At the tax cap, we're not going to have the deficit budget, we're not drawing down from sewer funds, right?
Correct.
Okay, which I think is critical. So, yeah, no higher than 1.83.
As I said before, I'm on the 183, and that's it.
Short and sweet. Appreciate it.
I'm at 1.83. I was going to skip over myself, but I don't need to.
I'm still at 1.83. Thank you for the work you're doing to bring it down.
I'll give my response to that after I remind you folks, On June 24th of last year, 2024, remember that board meeting? Probably not. But during that board meeting, we transferred $850,000 to the capital reserve fund, leftover money from that year's budget. And we transferred $153,934 to the teacher retirement reserve fund. There's plenty of money in the budget. But I do agree that we don't want to go over 1.83. Even though we have a great community that definitely supports the school, I think that we need to keep taxes as low as possible. I remember walking out of this room on that day with several board members, and we were a little bit distressed because we had cut positions again and struggled to come up with money to make the budget balanced. And then on June, the end of the budget year, we had the ability to transfer extra funds, just additional information. I'm fine with 1.83.
Okay, now we'll move on to the town alarm law update. So this was a law that was being, it was up for discussion. It would be a penalty for people with false fire and emergency response alarms. After they discussed it a few times, the law has been tabled indefinitely, so it's not moving forward. And then we are moving on to committees. So we have a member who feels they should maybe step down from the policy committee, so there will be an opening for any board members who are interested.
I'm that number. It's just, with the meetings in the afternoon, it's just too hard for me to leave work early enough consistently to do it. So I think it's better if there's someone else who consistently can be there.
So anyone interested, email Tracy, myself, and Mike.
So what time do you normally meet?
4:30 on Mondays, right, before the board meeting. Next is presentation of.
Just to help Eric, if you're interested, we have lots of meetings now because we're reviewing all the policies that have been done in a while. But after that, I don't know, we're halfway through, Mike, or maybe even 2/3. The load will get a little bit less.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and now presentation of the new textbook, Exploring Design, Technology and Engineering. Okay, now we'll move on to 5.8 Instructional Program Initiative, New Program Proposal, Introduction to Software Development. Matt Berkshire, Director of Curriculum, Instruction and Assessment, and Ty Russell, High School Math Teacher and Team Leader.
Good evening, everyone. A short presentation to keep you in the loop and make a request here in conjunction with the high school math department. And this request is tied directly to our curriculum goal, that all students engage in relevant and challenging learning that will motivate them to be collaborative, creative, and inquisitive. And I'm so happy to be here tonight to ask the board to consider approval of a new course called CSIS 120. So let me tell you a little bit about that. In our mathematics department, we have a current computer science sequence that has 2 courses in it. Discovering Computer Science and CSIS 110. By the way, CSIS stands for Computer Service and Information Systems. CSIS 110 is Introduction to Computer Science with Multimedia and Python. Hey, Ty. The purpose of tonight's presentation is to present CSIS 120, which is software development for review and approval. And we'd like you to consider what we proposed tonight in preparation for an approval vote at the April 7th board meeting. And if approved, this would allow us to expand the computer science sequence and provide students with a more advanced course in software development. So this new course, CSIS 120, is designed for students who enjoy problem solving, logical thinking, creativity, and technology. It's a great fit for those students with an interest in math, engineering, or software, and who want to see how coding applies to real-world challenges. To enroll, students would need to complete CSIS 110 as a prerequisite, or they could get in via faculty approval. Plus, there's an added bonus. Successful completion earns 4 college credits through Siena College. And I guess you're right on time, because this is the part where we specifically talk about the course and the content. So I'll just give a general, and I'll let you elaborate on anything. So it's all about building a strong foundation in coding, problem solving, and understanding the software development process. And we're looking to develop analytical thinking skills, learn how to turn algorithms into Java code, and cover key programming concepts like syntax and other best practices. It's also an opportunity to explore technology career paths while gaining hands-on experience with Java.
Can I interrupt you really quickly? So you said it's college credits through Siena, so that wouldn't transfer to any other schools?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Come on, Siena transcript.
When Siena designed the class, I don't know if they did this on purpose, but it doesn't differ a whole lot from the AP Computer Science 8 course. Of the 10 AP Computer Science 8 units, the CS 120 course addresses 8 of those. The 2 it does not, inheritance and recursion, inheritance being taken off the AP, and so recursion is the only one that is left, and that's only tested on multiple choice, so the students don't have to be able to write the code for that. You just have to be able to answer multiple choice questions. And then in addition, Siena has about 10 or 12 other topics that they teach in the CS 120 class that's not in AP. So it's a very formidable course for the students. It's right now costs $200 for the students to take the CS 110 class for 3 credits. In terms of like grading for Siena, they use the labs, they use the in-class exams. There's no single exam that the students have to sit down and take in 3 hours and rush through. So it's really a nice added bonus that you're just using the course grades. The CS 120 class would cost $250 for 4 college credits. The students get their own Siena ID, and they are basically non-matriculated Siena students.
Just to share a couple of examples of what the computer science sequence could look like at Greenville High School if we did add 120 to it. So just looking on the left here, high school students can follow these different pathways. Most start by taking algebra in 9th grade, and then they could move on to taking Discovering Computer Science. Following that, they could take CSIS 110 and then 120. In the center is a sequence that doesn't involve a student taking 120, right? So you could still come in, follow part of our computer science sequence. This is kind of what it currently could look like for a student, where they can take algebra, they can take Discovering Computer Science, take CSIS 110, and then after that take another math course. In this example, we have financial aid. And all the way over on the right is how a student could who is taking an algebra in 8th grade could then move on in 9th grade taking geometry and then going to algebra 2, and then instead of taking Discovering Computer Science, just jumping straight to CSIS 110 and then having the opportunity to take 120.
I have a question, maybe two. One is what kind of interest you have in here, and would the same teacher teach both 110 and 120?
Well, you can speak to the interest, because you work directly with kids.
Yeah, I think one of the things we tried to do last year, Matt kind of took a lead in this, is, you know, I said to Matt, we really need to like get the students to buy into the whole idea of CS. I think our math department started working a couple of years ago on thinking about alternatives for students, and one of the ideas we came up with was, computer science is a great application in mathematics, which is what a lot of our students coming in, you know, they don't see it, and they can see it right away. So we started pushing the Discovering Computer Science, a while ago, but getting these extra courses in was important. But the interest, I think, really starts at the middle school level. And that, I think, took a lead role in creating a kind of a quarterly course for middle school students to take in computer science, just to, help them get started, get everyone in some experience with computer science so that it's not like a bad word, you know what I mean? This year we pushed students that were not going to be successful in geometry. We pushed them into the Discovering Computer Science class, and I would say most of the students that are in there are doing pretty well. They're engaged. I don't know that homework is a huge thing, but I don't know that it would have been anyway. But they are engaged in the content, and even though that course is also through Sienna, there's a lot of leeway to kind of work around the students' strengths. The CS 110 and 120 is a little bit more rigorous. We've already identified 5 or 6 students from that class that we're going to be pushing into the CS 110 class, and they're receptive to it, which is really good. Of the 8 students I have in 110 this year, I have 8 students in 110, and I have one that's is an IB student that's taking it every other day during his lunch period. And 8 of the 8 students have signed up for Sienna credit, so that should tell you the engagement.
So in theory, this should start being kind of pushed to the kids in 6th and 7th grade. So is that where you're kind of finding them?
Well, that was the idea. Feedback from the math department was, boy, computer science, that's scary. That's not me. I can't. I don't do that sort of thing. So one of the things that we did was working with Tanya Fricky, our instructional technology implementation specialist, and she worked with Ms. Bjorkman, who is a 6th grade science teacher who also teaches 6th grade technology. What we did was add some computer science and coding and being very purposeful about saying, hey, this is computer science, right? So that students are starting to get used to that idea in 6th grade. So when they start seeing the course catalog things come out in 8th grade and start looking at what's in high school, and they can say, oh, yeah, I can this Discovering Computer Science, I can do that. And that gets them in. And once they're in that Discovering Computer Science class, then we can get them ready for things like 110 and 120.
And one thing I appreciate, and I like the availability for the flexibility in those students that just have jam schedules that have interest, but you're willing to work with them to try to give them some exposure towards this. Because I know it's a wanted thing, but sometimes they just can't put it in their schedules. So thank you for looking out for them to have some flexibility on that.
Jim, you asked about who would teach it. You do have to have a certification for computer science in order to teach these classes. And one of the great things is that Sienna will work with our teachers to give them that certification if they're interested in doing that. The professional development that comes along with teaching these courses is excellent. It comes at no charge to the district. They are, as a university, really pushing this forward, and we're really appreciative of being a partner of theirs.
How common are these programs in high schools? Do you have any sense?
I have not looked across New York State and other surrounding districts to know how many are doing this. I've been more focused on what do we want to do here to grow. I know it's been a priority for our math department.
CN is working with a lot of school districts. I couldn't tell you the number, but probably from experience, taking some of the classes and going to the professional development, maybe 80. So,
Yeah. I was just curious. I think it's a great idea, but I was curious to know if it is adding a class would bring us more in line with what a lot of schools are doing, or if it would more distinguish us from what schools typically don't do. Either way, I don't think it necessarily matters. It seems like a good idea.
I appreciate you bringing this to the students, Tag, because this school is lagging in this by a long shot. You asked what other schools are doing. Some schools are way ahead of us. Tag, have you seen this implemented anywhere, or what the end products are, what the kids' projects are, what they're working on, app development?
I have not seen the end development of CS 120. I'm taking it right now at Sienna, but I will have several resources available to me when the time comes.
Just thinking about my own kids' schedules and college and stuff like that, 4 credit is typically with a lab. So how does that affect the student schedule here? Is it all built into one class period for them?
Yeah, we have more than enough time because we are teaching the course from September to June. They're teaching it from September to December. So even with an extra lab hour that they have during the week, we'll have no trouble finishing the curriculum. For CS 110 last year and this year so far, I'm comfortable doing extra things with the students.
And then Matt, another question, as we've been talking about the budget with the movement that's been discussed, how does this affect staffing-wise and faster schedule? We have what we need teacher-wise for all the different things we're offering.
Those are always things with current numbers we have or looking forward. It's always something that whenever I get a bright idea and have to go talk to Christy, we have to say, how realistic is this in terms of what we have been working, not only in the budget, but also with the contract. And those are always moves that are taken into consideration with Christy and with Ryan, and how the middle school and the high school schedules and teacher schedules have to interact contractually. We do have to consider which courses we offer every single year versus courses that we can offer maybe every other year. But a lot of times that happens as students vote with their feet, right? So if we have an interest, or we have, hey, this number of students want to take this class and we know that they're going to take it, then we know we're going to run that one versus one that maybe fewer numbers.
Another question I have is equipment-wise. Is it mostly textbook teaching, or do you need equipment that's necessary for teaching these courses?
The students need a school-issued laptop, which isn't an issue. This year we're using JuiceMind for teaching the course, and that I think is $50 a student. But in the course that I'm taking, they're using BlueJ, which is a free download, so we could potentially use that. That would save money. So really, it's just a school-issued laptop. Training, professional development is free, and resources for the course are free. There's a curriculum map designed for, if a new teacher was coming in to teach this course, there's an unbelievable curriculum map available for teachers and for new teachers with an abundant number of resources for them.
I also just want to say thank you for, as the demands out there and the workforce changes, it's nice to see we have a little bit of flexibility. As Dave says, we are behind, I understand, but it doesn't mean we're out of the game. At least we're trying to do things. I do appreciate getting a little bit out of your box in order to do certain things. You can always move into the art room if you need more hours. But with that said, I appreciate being flexible because it's really our kids and the demands on the workforce tells us we need to change. So thank you.
I have one more question. You mentioned with the CIS 110, that was 200 and something like that to take it. Did you experience any issue with the kids with that cost? I know there's other classes where they have to pay as well. Is there anybody that wouldn't be allowed to participate, or is there a plan in place?
We had a few students last year on free and reduced lunch that were able to get the funding that they needed to get the credit for the course.
Cool. Thank you.
I think that computer literacy and even learning AI is the wave of the future. Like, it seems like this can't happen soon enough, so I think it's a no-brainer, and thank you. Next, we're going to move on to the action items. We're combining 6.2, 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4. So we will approve the minutes from the meeting on February 10th, February 24th, February 26th, and March 3rd. So can I have a motion to approve all of those?
I have Jim and Eric.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to accept the finance reports ending February 28th, 2025.
I have Eric, Kelly,
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to accept the Committee on Special Education recommendations.
Kelly and Jim.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the personnel agenda.
Eric and Jim.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve procurement of vehicles by resolution for presentation to the residents of the Greenville Central School District at the annual budget hearing on Tuesday, May 6th, 2025, and for a vote of the qualified residents of the district on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025.
Eric, in a second. Dave.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the contract between the Greenville Central School District and the Children's Home of Kingston.
Eric, Kelly.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to award contract transportation bid to Coxsackie Transport, Inc. for the remaining 2024-2025 school year to transport a student to the Children's Home of Kingston.
Eric and Kelly.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the health and welfare service contract between the Greenville Central School District and the Bethlehem Central School District for the 2024-2025 school year.
If you want to do 6.12 and 6.13, those are also health services.
Oh, and also 6.12 and 6.13. Should I read that here?
Sure.
Okay. The 6.12 is motion to approve health and welfare service contract between Greenville Central School District and South Colony Central School District for the 2024-2025 school year, and 6.13 being motion to approve health and welfare service contract between Greenville Central School District and Taconic Hills School District for the 2024-2025 school year.
Eric and Dave.
Any discussion?
I have a question. I mean, these are 3 different school districts, 3 very different amounts. Is it set by the individual school district? Then there's nothing you can do about it, right? Interesting.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to award fuel bid through DCMO BOCE's bid process for 2025-2026.
Eric. Kelly.
Any discussion?
Save the money.
All in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion to approve the surplus items.
Kelly and Eric.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, board members, topics for discussion at a future meeting. Did anybody have anything?
I have one. I know the Latin teacher, Miss Mayo, came in and communicated about a possible trip next year in 2026. I didn't know if we can possibly look at possible grants or something to assist the students forward. They had a meeting, but as far as moving forward, I would like to, I think a good opportunity, but we can also look for some way we can help other than just the Burke Foundation Fund. Maybe we can find a way to help them plan for next year.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, next is the closing open forum, the same rules as apply as stated during the first open forum. Did anyone wish to speak? Any names? Okay. We did have a proposed executive session. I don't believe we need it any longer, but I wanted to propose it. Did anyone have anything? Okay. So, do I need to
Highlighted, so no, look at,
And then I just need a motion to adjourn the meeting. Anyone want to discuss it?
Yeah.
Thank you.